Howdy, my name is Billy. First of all, thank you very much for sharing my story on your YouTube channel. And to be honest, I don't even know where to start, so I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I met with my girlfriend that day. I introduced her to my parents, we spent the entire afternoon together, and then we all had a nice dinner. Fortunately, they all got along pretty well, which is what was worrying me the most. We talked for so long that it got really late, and I had to take her back to her house. She lived in a town 50 kilometers away, so between taking her there and coming back, I would take about 2 hours. So we got in the car and put in some music from her phone. We talked about the impression she had of my parents, and then we started singing together since nobody was listening to us. We were halfway there when right in the middle of the chorus of our favorite song, strange things started happening. The phone's Bluetooth disconnected on its own, which was pretty annoying, but then the loud noise of static replaced the music. I kept focusing on the road while my girlfriend tried to solve that technical issue. However, 2 shadows suddenly crossed the road in front of the car at what I can only describe as superhuman speed. I had no time to react, and if they hadn't been so fast, I would have ended up crashing into those things, whatever they were. So yeah, I was sure I saw 2 insanely fast shadows cross in front of the car. However, my girlfriend was still trying to fix the music and didn't see what just happened. I told her what I saw, but she then asked me if I was drunk and joked about me having hallucinations. The last stretch of the road felt way longer than usual. I just couldn't stop thinking about those shadows. Well, she kept on goofing around and mocking me until she noticed I was actually worried. We arrived at her house and she asked me to please be very careful on the way back and to call her once I arrived at my house. I promised her that I would, and after a hug, she got out of the car, closed the door, and headed to her front door. Oh, I forgot to mention that she managed to fix the Bluetooth before leaving, so I connected my phone to play some music. It was very late, so I decided to head back as quickly as possible. And on top of that, I was so sleepy that if I didn't go fast, I might have ended up falling asleep at the wheel. Shortly after I started heading back, the audio disconnected on its own once more, replaced once again by that loud and annoying static. And so I grabbed the phone to check it out since nobody else was around the road. But right in that moment, I felt how something crashed against my car, the noise so loud that there was no doubt about it. Oh, and a few shards of glass landed on my head. If I hadn't been looking down, they would have pierced my eyes for sure. And so, after taking a deep breath and mentally preparing for the worst, I saw that I had impacted a boy and a girl with my car, and their bodies were resting on the windshield. I could only see their faces since the rest of their bodies were covered in blood. They were probably siblings, their faces were similar, and they had the same hair color. They were about 7 years old, and the first thing I wondered was what the heck were they doing in the middle of the road so late at night? However, this was not their fault. It was mine for being distracted and using my phone when I shouldn't. I would be found out for sure, and I would be prosecuted for child murder. I had to do something. What would my parents and my girlfriend think if they found out about this? I could not waste any more time. I got out of the car to take their bodies off the windshield, and then, thanks to a nearby sign, I could recognize that I was on the same road where I had seen the 2 shadows. Not knowing why, I had a hunch that all of this was related, but maybe I was just going crazy. I panicked once more. I didn't know if I should call the police or hide their bodies. Maybe if I explained to them that they had crossed my path before and didn't look like humans, they would let me go. No, that would be insane. How couldn't they be humans? They were human, and they were dead, and it was all my fault. Once I took the bodies off the windshield, I decided to throw them between the trees by the side of the road. Then I grabbed a rag and cleaned the windscreen. It was still noticeable that something had happened since the glass was still broken. However, on the entire way, I had only seen 2 or 3 other vehicles, so it was unlikely that I would be found out. I drove out of that place as fast as I could, and I couldn't stop thinking about that accident and what would happen to me if the police found out I fled the crime scene. They would jail me for life, or even worse. I arrived at my house and went up to my room without saying a word to my parents. I then turned on my laptop and searched the information on the internet about that road. I found the website of a local newspaper where it said that 30 years ago, 2 children had been run over in that very road. And when I looked closely at the photo in the news article, I saw that they looked exactly like the children I had impacted with my car. I kept researching until I found a forum where more drivers were talking about having experienced the same thing I did. First, they saw something strange on that road, and whenever they got a bit distracted, their windshield would end up covered in blood. Convinced that I wasn't crazy, I went to the police station to explain what happened. But as soon as I told them that I had thrown the bodies away, they handcuffed me and demanded that I took them to where the bodies were. I spent the entire way there trying to explain to the agents that they weren't real children, that they were already dead, but they didn't listen to me. I even insisted about showing them the evidence I found, but they just told me to tell it to the judge. I recognized the sign from before and told them that that was the place. I tried to find the exact point where everything happened. Remains from the accident should have still been around, like the glass shards that were shot out from the windshield due to the impact. However, as much as I searched, I found nothing. It's as if I was in the wrong place. And since I was cooperating with the police, they took off the handcuffs so I could search faster. I identified the trees where I had thrown the bodies, so the agents turned on their lanterns and followed me. However, when we arrived, the bodies were no longer there, only their sunk silhouettes on the wet ground. And then we heard a noise right behind us. Once again, I saw a shadow crossing at high speed in front of us. And out of the blue, the agents next to me started to scream. I saw how they were being attacked by those dead children. In the middle of all that commotion, I realized that the agents left the lights of the police car on, meaning that the keys were still on. So I rushed to the police car, got in, and put the pedal to the metal. And as I drove as fast as I could, someone started calling me to my phone. It was my girlfriend. I was in no condition to speak with her and tell her what happened, so I rejected the call and opened WhatsApp to answer her there. But while I was texting, something impacted the police car. I raised my gaze, and I saw it was a crow, its beak now pierced into the windshield. I let out a sigh of relief. Maybe this whole nightmare was finally over? However, the next day, all the newspapers shared the story of the 2 police agents. I spent many days in interrogations and trials, but fortunately, I was let free. However, my life changed forever. Now, every time I'm at the wheel, those 2 children reappear around me in one form or another. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!